Hello viewers. In my last video I talked about interviewing witnesses too late, but timing is only part of the equation. The truth is, most investigators have never been taught how to conduct an effective witness interview. They ask the wrong questions. They contaminate testimony without realizing it. And they walk away with a version of events that tells them what they expected to hear, not what actually happened. I am Dr. Wayne M. Sunborg. I've conducted thousands of witness interviews across more than 500 high-profile investigations. Today, I'm going to share the techniques that separate useful testimony from useless noise. The first thing to understand is that a witness interview is not an interrogation. You're not looking for confessions. You're trying to help someone access their memory accurately. This is where the cognitive interview technique becomes invaluable. It was developed by forensic psychologists, and it's based on how memory actually works. The principle is simple. Memory retrieval improves when we recreate the mental and physical context of the event. So instead of firing questions at your witness, you start by asking them to mentally return to the scene. What did they see? What did they hear? What were they thinking at the time? What were they feeling? You let them talk. You don't interrupt. You take notes, but you save your questions for later. This free recall phase often produces details that direct questioning would never uncover. Now let's talk about questions, because this is where most investigators go wrong. Leading questions contaminate testimony. Did you see him rush through the task? Is not the same as describe what you observed him doing. The first question plants an idea. The second invites genuine recall. Closed questions limit information. Was the guard in place? Gets you a yes or no. Tell me about the machine guarding, opens up a conversation. And here's one that catches even experienced investigators. Assumptive questions. Why didn't you report the near miss last week? Assumes there was a near miss, assumes it wasn't reported, and assumes your witness knew about it. You've just put words in their mouth. The rule is simple. Open questions first. Clarifying questions second. Close questions only to confirm specific details at the end. The order of your interview matters just as much as the questions you ask. Start with rapport building. This isn't small talk for the sake of it. It's essential. A nervous witness gives guarded answers. A comfortable witness gives complete answers. Take 2 minutes to establish that you're there to understand what happened, not to assign blame. Then move to free narrative. Ask them to tell you everything they remember from the beginning in their own words. Don't interrupt, even when they go off topic. Those tangents often contain critical information. Next comes the probing phase. Now you go back through their narrative and ask clarifying questions. You mentioned the alarm sounded. Can you tell me more about that? You said something felt wrong. What do you mean by that? Finally, you summarize and confirm. Read back key points and ask if you've captured it accurately. This gives witnesses a chance to correct misunderstandings before they become permanent record. Here's something they don't teach in most investigation courses. Witnesses routinely withhold information. Not because they're dishonest, but because they're afraid. They're afraid of getting a colleague in trouble. They're afraid of looking incompetent. They're afraid of management reprisal. They're afraid their own shortcuts will come to light. Your job is to create conditions where telling the truth feels safer than staying silent. How? First, interview privately. Never in front of supervisors, managers, or other witnesses. Second, explain clearly how their testimony will be used, and more importantly, how it won't be used. Third, focus your questions on systems and conditions, not individual blame. When witnesses realize you're investigating the process, not the person, they open up. And if you sense someone is holding back, don't push. Simply say, is there anything else you think I should know? Then wait. Silence is a powerful tool. People will fill it. The best interview in the world is worthless if you don't capture it properly. Record exact words, not summaries. He said. We always skip that step when we're behind schedule. Is evidence. He admitted the procedure wasn't followed. Is your interpretation. One belongs in your notes. The other doesn't. Capture non-verbal information. Did the witness hesitate before answering? Did they become emotional at certain points? Did they look away? These observations can be significant. Document the context. When did the interview occur? Where? Who was present? How long did it take? What was the witness's demeanor? All of this affects how testimony should be weighted. And always, always, have the witness review and sign their statement, not days later, immediately, while the interview is fresh. This protects both of you. I want to finish with something that's harder to teach than technique: mindset. The best interviewers approach every conversation with genuine curiosity, not suspicion, not assumption, curiosity. They assume the witness knows something valuable, even if the witness doesn't realize it themselves. They assume there's a logical reason behind every action, even actions that look foolish in hindsight. They assume that understanding the witness's perspective is the key to understanding the event. This isn't about being soft, it's about being effective. Witnesses respond to investigators who want to understand. They shut down with investigators who want to judge. Witness interviews are often the most valuable evidence you'll collect. Physical evidence tells you what happened. Witness testimony tells you why. But that testimony is fragile. It degrades with time. It warps under pressure. It is contaminated by poor questioning. And it disappears entirely when witnesses don't feel safe. Master the interview, and you'll uncover truths that no amount of site inspection could reveal. Get it wrong, and you'll walk away with exactly what you expected to find, which is almost never the whole story. The techniques I've shared today aren't complicated, but they take practice, they take discipline, and they take a genuine commitment to understanding what really happened. That's what separates investigators from form fillers. Thank you for watching. In my next video, we will take a look at resisting the pressure to close out the investigation. Goodbye for now. Have a safe and healthy day.